Good morning. Thought it wasn't working for a while. Okay. Hey, Ayakame. Hey, Pips Apprentice. How you doing? Hey, Jew Marinas. Hi, World of Comics. Good to have you. Hey, Lindy. How are you doing? It's been a big day. Massive, huge, big day. Why? We've had the RBA. We had the RBA. Well, not making any changes to interest rates decisions, holding rates at a current level. But most importantly of all, we have the Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan with the interest rate hike, moving away from the negative rates regime, moving in I think 17 years, hiking rates for the first time in 17 years. Huge day. The funny thing is I'm just chewing on a sweet right now. The funny thing is I had a relatively busy morning. I was planning to have a relatively busy morning. Cancelled a lot of it. Sat there, took my medication, look at all that stuff. We were supposed to do a live stream, but I didn't do it. Just drugged myself up, sat in front of my screen and waited for the news. All right, the Bank of Japan was supposed to release its news at about 10 something, tentative timing. Got delayed all the way to about 11:30 something, right after the RBA. So that was very interesting. There was delayed news. And because of that delay as well, I think it was one of the tactics. With a delayed news, we saw an increase from the Bank of Japan, increase of rates from the Bank of Japan, and a removal, scrapping the yield curve control at that 1% on the 10-year JGBs. So massive move here from the Bank of Japan, but we're not seeing the move as we expected. We were thinking that a move in that move, hiking rates, removing of ultra easy policy, would have seen the yen strengthen to an extent, but what we're seeing now is a push to the upside, a very significant push to the upside. Again, I was sharing this on the Discord channel for you guys. I've closed up my trade at about 102 pips. I'm holding on to my Aussie dollar to the downside. I'll share that with you shortly. So it's been a very big news. It's been a busy morning, but it's been a very profitable morning as well. So I hope you guys are having a good profitable morning as well. With that said, hey Jimmy, how you doing? Hey Christina, good morning, good to see you. We are also streaming live on TradingView. That seems to be working. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. Wherever you are, if you're new to the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from. And for all the regulars, a big welcome back. Thank you for joining me again on this session. 1 second. I can't talk with a sweet in my mouth. All right. Then, what else was I going to say? Oh, if you can help me out massively, do remember to click that like and subscribe button. Let's try and get more people onto the live stream, onto the videos, and into the Discord channel as well. Okay, if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. Hey Brian, good morning, how are you doing? Before all that, a quick disclaimer: any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. So please do your own due diligence, as the contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, as your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. That's it. Let's get to the interesting part. Hey Kalichi, how are you doing from Nigeria? Good to have you with us. Ayakame said, not yet, sir. Seems to miss out. Yeah, you know, the Bank of Japan news with the Japanese yen pushing 128 pips for the last 6 hours to the upside would have been very early for many of you guys. So you might have missed out on the move. For now, it's coming to a level that it might get interesting again. So let's look into it and let's plan for the next part, the next setup. All right. Hang on a second. All right. As you all know, I'm still nasally and under the weather, but we shall keep going on. Hey Goju, how are you doing? So now, what happened since the last time we spoke? Overnight, not much happened. But early this morning, 11:30 a.m. GMT +8, we had the Aussie cash rate, interest rate decision. They held it at 4.35%. It stayed at 4.35%. Reading the rate statement, right? Reading the rate statement, what happened here is that you would see inflation continues to moderate in line with forecast, but outlook remains highly uncertain. Inflation is moderating, but outlook again remains uncertain. There is also the line here that, where was it? Price inflation to decline gradually, but we're also thinking that, where is it? Services price inflation remain persistent and could occur in Australia. So it was very good news, but bad news. Good news, but bad news. Right? So overall, reading through this, again, inflation to target is the priority. And then while inflation is easing, it remains high. Sometime before inflation is going to get to the target level, path of interest rate is best. Ensure that inflation returns to target within its time frame. No big surprises there, right? So no big surprises there on the from the RBA with the interest rate decision and also the rate statement. And then following on from that, 1 hour after that, there was the press conference. I watched that as well. Again, no big surprises. Governor Bullock was asked to comment about the BOJ's decision, but she refused to comment on other central banks. What I did on the Aussie dollar was looking at it trending down. I was thinking that it could push up, but I'll show it to you here. On release of the news, so this is at 11:30. I'll show you on a 15-minute time frame. There we go. That's on release of the news. So before the news, it was pushing up a little bit. Before that, came back down, and on release of the news, it dropped. Right? It dropped right down from 0.6557 down to 6533. Bounced back up a little bit. I'll show you why it bounced. It was outside of the Bollinger, bounced right back up. And then as it was pushing back down, so I saw the first move push down. So once I saw that bounce and show a bit of a push back down to the downside, that's where I look to get in. Back to the H1 time frame. Move that down. Then you can see also it broke below that 61.8 level. Right, that 61.8 level from the overall move from bottom to the top there, coming back down on release of the news. It broke below 61.8, and that's another reason why I went to sell to the downside. Initially, I had a 30 pip stop loss. As it pushed lower, I went down to 20, right? And then it's still looking to the downside. I'm looking for it to come down. I'm still holding on to this. I'm looking for it to come down to this point, which is where I have my take profit level at 6480. So right now it's a 20 pip stop loss, 60 pip take profit to the downside. I think that during this session, hopefully during this session, or if not, maybe later on as it pushes down, I will push this down to break even. I'll push this down to break even and let it run towards that 60 pip take profit. Okay, so that's what I've got right now on the Aussie dollar to the downside, looking for that continuation back down. And then once it comes to this point, it's going to get interesting because we have a support here, We have a support here. This whole thing becomes that support area. Fair enough. Any questions on the Aussie dollar? Well, any questions on the RBA cash rate statement and the setup that I had on the Aussie dollar? Put it into the chat. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, so that's the one that I'm still holding at the moment. Zachary, how are you doing? I agree, we'll continue down, then possibly continue H4 long trend. Okay, so what if you missed out on this move on the Aussie? I would say it's too late to get in right now. I'll put this a little bit smaller. All right, I think if you missed out on this move, it's too late to get in right now. It wouldn't make sense. Why I say it's too late is that it wouldn't make sense in the risk to reward format, right? So what I would do is wait for a reaction here. Oops. Wait for a reaction around this point for it to either break lower or possibly bounce back up. But that's going to take a little bit longer. With that, we'll wait for, join the Discord. If I do see a bounce or breakthrough, I'll let you guys know. Okay? So yes, Zachary, I agree with that. Thanks for that, Kunal. Hey YJ, how are you doing? Hey Nav, good to have you with us from London. Zachary is looking for buys. I think that if you're looking for a buying opportunity, then I would look for it to react off that point. Okay, we'll get to that shortly. Then the main event for today was what happened on the BOJ, right? The BOJ took their policy rate or the interest rate from minus 0.1% to plus 0.1%. A rate hike to a plus 0.1%. First time in 17 years they have hike rates. They have removed the yield curve control, the YCC, but they're still continuing to purchase JGBs, Japanese government bonds, moving away from an ultra easing policy towards a not very much tightening, but away from the ultra easing policy. Okay. Interestingly, was that couple of days ago or a week ago, the Bank of Japan said, no, we're most likely going to do something in April. March is on the table, but we're most likely going to do something in April. Yesterday, the Goldman Sachs came out and said, no, I think Bank of Japan is going to do it in March, and they did it in March, right? So straight away, you saw that move, that decision. On the yen, we were talking about this yesterday when we did the H4 setups. And on H4, I'll just show you what we talked about yesterday. On the H4 setups from yesterday, we were thinking that it's going to break back down, break to the downside. And, an interest rate increase, we should see the yen strengthen, we should see it push back down. Did not happen. That did not happen. Instead, what happened was it pushed right back up. Okay? I know I'm switching charts around a lot, but bear with me. So it pushed right back up. What I did here on the yen is we had this area as a horizontal consolidation. Right? And those of you who have been following me for a long time, you know that whenever I see a horizontal consolidation, I do tend to like to look for a I do tend to like to look for a straddle position. So what I had was a short below that support 148.60, which we talked about. Right, I was looking for that move either to break down that way. And then I had my buy at that point at 149.40, right? 149.40 there. looking for it to break out of that consolidation, either to the upside or the downside. So what happened? It broke up, right? It came, I'll zoom in a bit. It came very close to triggering my first, on the first push, didn't. Next one came very close again. I was very tempted to get it in before that, but I left it to the order, the buy stop order. Next moment, it broke out. This was on release of the news. I thought of getting in early, but on release of the news, it pushed to the upside, straight away canceled out that order, and it went up, right? It went up. I held on to that trade. I think on that second hour, I was highlighting on the Discord channel that it is outside of the Bollinger. I'm watching it to see whether I should close out. But then it continued pushing higher. My initial take profit was up there about 140. I was looking for it to test that resistance level. All right. Then I saw that it pushed out, and as it was way outside of the Bollinger, I closed out at 102. At 102 there. Right, because I was also thinking that maybe this point is near enough and close enough, that whole resistance area. So it came close, came back down a little bit. I closed out my trade. So that was my US yen from this morning for 102 pips to the upside. Okay, so that one is done. Take that away. Good morning, Angel Case. How are you doing? Prince Philip OG just said, today is a bank holiday. FYI, I did not know that. I did not know that, and that might. I was going to say that might explain why it pushed up. Which holiday is it, Prince Philip? If you can let me know. Hey, D-Train, how are you doing? Yeah, so I did not know that. So one question I had was, I've been asking myself and trying to figure out before I jumped onto this session together with you guys, was how to explain why did the yen or the US yen push to the upside, right? Why did it push to the upside? Sorry, I'm trying to breathe. Why did it push to the upside? Why did the yen weaken despite the hiking of interest rates? I'll tell you, one reason is that it could be a buy the rumor, sell the fact scenario, right? Pushing it up. Another one could be just a whole speculative move. So unless it breaks above this resistance area, I would still be a little bit cautious that we might see a retracement or correction back down again. Okay, so this was just a bit of an opportunistic move. I think that we might see it hit and then turn back down again. Zachary is saying is the equinox day. Okay, I got my filters open. Yeah, I got my filters there. It could very well be that there's a bank holiday and there was no one to defend. I think the Bank of Japan is there though. So there was no one there to defend the yen. But I think that with that move done, now we're looking for a reaction at that point. Okay. Another reason why I would attribute, or how I would attribute this move to the upside on the US yen would be that gradual strength of the dollar index to the upside. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is either. It might be might not be a bank holiday. Might be a holiday, but might not be a bank holiday. I don't know. I don't know what the holiday is, but just trying to figure out what's going to happen at that point next. Okay, so that's what has happened since the last time we spoke. What's coming up for today is at 8:30 p.m. We do have the, turn up my aircon. All right, at 8:30 p.m. we do have the Canadians with their CPI number, trimmed CPI year on year 3.4 to 3.4, median CPI to stay at 3.3. No big changes expected here. I'll tell you more about that shortly. Okay. So now with all that, let's get back to the usual. Where do we think the dollar index is going to head towards next? Yesterday, on the H4 time frame, we were saying that the dollar index needs to stay below this 50% level, right? 50% level, and this area to maintain its downward push. That's on the H4 time frame. How I'm looking at this right now, let me try and get a nice looking chart this way. Okay. Okay, there we go. How I'm looking at this right now is that we do have a bit of a push to the upside there, right? But it's making a decision at this 103.80 level, right about that point there, 103.80, which is in between this 50 and 60% retracement level. What could happen? I mean, looking at this, we could see a bit more of a retracement on the dollar. Okay, I'm messing my chart a bit. Okay, likely we're going to see this come back down a bit and then push right back up. Sit around that point. We're going to see it retrace down to test that level and then bounce back up. I'm just thinking if there's any reason that the dollar index should or could weaken significantly. Nothing much for today until the pound tomorrow and the Fed Reserve on Thursday morning. Okay, don't know what. Select more on the list. Never mind. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. So back to this day being the March the 19th. On the dollar index, it's possibly going to sit there, retest this level. Just check a couple of things. Retest 23.6. No, I don't think it dropped that much. Retest the trend line, push back up. I think that it's more likely to consolidate. I'm a bit undecided because there's no big news expected on the dollar. There's no big news expected for the dollar, and given that it's likely to be pushed by the other currency pairs, the movements of the volatility of the other currency pairs, it is at that decision point. And I like it trending. Okay, so what I would say is that dollar index is likely to consolidate along 103.80 with a possible push up towards 104.30. There we go. With continuation to upside to 104.30. Okay, so what I mean by that is that we could see the dollar sit around this point and then push up towards the 104.30 level, which is where we have that point there. Okay, adjustments to this or change in the bias would be if the dollar index does break below or break through this trend line, this short-term trend line, and then we could see a push back down. But for now, I would say a consolidate along this point with a continuation to the upside towards 104.30. Great. So now with that, then looking at the Kiwi dollar, you see, it's right at that support level. Right at this support level here. So at that same point. Naturally, we would be thinking, a lot of us would be thinking too, that it could bounce. Just get a whole picture. I don't need that. Can have that. Okay, then we take this whole move. Well, firstly, this move down. And then I want to try and look at this move to the downside. I don't need that many. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so what I would be looking at here is on the Kiwi, again, same thing. As the dollar is likely to consolidate, maybe some weakness before possibly pushing back up, what I'm thinking is that Kiwi might consolidate at this point for a little bit. It could bounce back up. If you are looking to buy it up, then the best or the safer option would be for it to break above this point first. So if you are looking to buy it up, you'll be looking at a trade like that. Right? At least something like that. So it's a 1:1. You could get in earlier. 6063. A 20 pip stop loss, a 60 pip take profit to the upside. Then hold that and as a confirmation, you can also say that if it breaks past that point, you'll be more confident of the move to the upside. That's a counter trend trade. I don't think it's worth doing a counter trend trade at this point. What I would be thinking is that if the dollar does strengthen, then we could actually see the Kiwi push down. So it's consolidating at that point, push down 6040, stop loss, tight 15, take profit 20, not worth doing. Okay, not worth trying to sell it down. I would tell you that instead, let's do this. 6035. 6065. Stop loss 20 pips. Take profit 60 pips to the upside. This will be a counter trend trade. Okay, so what I'm looking at here on the Kiwi dollar would be a bounce from the support 6065, 20 pip stop loss, 60 pip take profit to the upside as a counter trend. Buy 0.6065. Yes. Stop loss 20, take profit 60 to the upside. This is counter trend. So because it's counter trend, again, it's something that I would not put very high on my list. Then onto the Aussie. It's bouncing back up. I might want to close out. Give me a second. Okay. All right, I just closed out on my Aussie on that. I don't want to look at it anymore. Take that away. So now again, it is bouncing. Why is it bouncing back up a little bit? It could come down to this point here, right? But what I'm looking at is these are done. Broke that 61, so it's done. Let's take that away. I think that it's due for a bit of a retracement. I think that might come back down a little bit, like how we drew it initially, and do that back up. Right, so I think that Aussie might retrace. This might actually give those of you who missed out on the move an opportunity where you're looking at, if it comes back up to about 6540 and if it rejects 6540, you can look to sell it down. Double check that again. 65, that'll be at that 50% level. I think that's reasonable. Okay, so I'll put in this line here, and we're looking at that point. So what I'm looking for here on the Aussie would be a test and reject to sell back down. And in that case, then we'll be looking to sell at 6535. Stop loss will be height at no more than 20 pips. Take profit, you could go down to not 70, go down to 60 pips to the downside. 55. There we go. Okay, so a bit of patience there on the Aussie, looking for it to test and bounce back up and bounce back down, or might sit there and push lower. But what I'm looking for is 6535, stop loss 20, take profit 55. So 0.6535, stop loss 20, take profit 55 on the Aussie to the downside. And remember that that's a 23.6 level, but in the shorter term, just from today's move, it'll be at that 50% level as well. So that would be quite a good level to reject and to continue lower. And then it comes to this tricky one on the yen, making me very happy that I closed out on my yen right at that point. Can't remember what's the price now. But you can see how it is reacting to this resistance area, right? How it's reacting to this resistance area. Last many times it hit and turned back down, came, turned back down, and all that over there. Most recently on the 5th of March, turned right back down from there. Now very close and pushing back down. Still a little bit too early. Yes, I know many of you might have jumped in, rushed in and got into it early, or might be tempted to get into it early. FX3 says you can't hear. Is it working? Is the volume working on TradingView? Let me just check that 1 second. Test. E-Train, can you hear me? Mantap, thanks for that, Hariz. Hey Erwin, how are you doing? Just want to check that the sound is working for those guys on the guys on TradingView. Okay, I think it should be working. Haven't heard anyone else say that they can't hear. All right, thanks for that, Erwin. Okay, so now on the US yen, this is a very high level. Go to an H4 time frame. This is since this year we've hit this point and reverse. Yes, the ultimate historic high, recent historic high is at 151.91 in November 2023. Can it go higher? Yes, it could. But I would be very careful past this point. All right. So right now, again back to the H1 time frame, it's likely to retrace. I would not be tempted to sell it down right yet. Okay, I wouldn't be looking to sell it down yet. I think that push to the upside meant or looked like it meant something quite significant. So I wouldn't be looking to fade that move yet. I would say stay out of the US yen for now. I think that the opportunity, the bigger opportunity on the US yen would come during the FOMC on Thursday, right? Or from Thursday onwards or later on. So the trend follower will look for a retrace and a bounce to buy it back up like that. I don't think it's worth that risk. No, actually, I'll tell you what, that's fine. All right, look for it to let it retrace, complete its retracement, break above the resistance 151, you get to 151, almost 151.90. So on the dollar, now we look at this, we look for it to complete retracement, break above resistance, then we'll look to buy at 150.95, 30 pip stop, 90 pip take. 150.95, stop loss 30, take profit 90 to the upside. Right, so we're letting it retrace. Don't do anything unless it breaks above, then we look for that buying opportunity. Great. On to the pound. You can see everything, almost everything has come to rest at a key support or a key resistance level. In this case, the pound dollar on that 61.8 pip retracement level, sitting right there on the support. We've had a good mix of dollar strength and dollar weakness scenarios here. Now I'm looking for that, since I'm looking for that strength to continue, we're looking for this to break the support. Relatively straightforward here on the pound would be to sell down from 1.2685, stop loss 30 pips, take profit 80 pips to the downside. Okay, so again, pound looking to sell down from 1.2685, 30 pips stop loss, 80 pips take profit. Pound, we're looking to sell from 1.2685, stop loss 30, take profit 80 to the downside. Because it's breaking it looks like it's going to break a support, it's broken below or breaking below at 61.8, we're looking for continuation to the downside. And you could even add in that move to apply that or to indicate that downward pressure on the pound dollar, anticipating that dollar strength scenario. Thanks for that MIG video. Now on to the euro dollar. All right, very similarly to the pound. And we spoke about the euro to the downside yesterday as well. Right, euro dollar on the smaller term pip level has broken 50, now it's breaking 61. So take that one away, leave 61 in there, and then it could travel down towards that swing low and the 61.8 level, which forms a good interim support level. Okay, so what I'm looking for in this case, with 61.8 there, the previous swing low is being broken. Again, relatively straightforward, like the pound dollar. I think that a close of the hour at this point will be very good, right? So very close to this will be 1.0860. Stop loss no more than 20 pips. Take profit could go down to 50 pips to the downside. There might be a bit of a hesitation there at 1.0840. I think that's reasonable and possibly quite easy to break as well. Okay, if the dollar does continue to strengthen. So 1.0860, 20 to 50 to the downside. Sell 1.0860, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the downside. Okay. Now, with that, then onto the US Swiss franc. Right? Why is the US Swiss franc pushing up above that previous levels? Because of that dollar strength. So now at that resistance, this point here, now it looks like it's trying to break past that level that it has reversed from the last 3 times. Because of that, I want to see the next resistance level. And you can see this level is actually quite strong. That's why I do it right across. We had it as a support, as a bit of a resistance, and then resistance right through. If it does break past this resistance level, then I would have this next point as a bit of a resistance. I don't need that. We can look for that move up. You know what? I would like to consider this as an opportunity for a counter trend. Because of what has happened the last 2 times, if this rejects this level and turns down, so in case the dollar index does not strengthen, well, I don't think there's a chance of that, but it looks like it's strengthening. If it does not strengthen, we could look for a rejection back down. That could be for those of you who like the counter trend setups, that could be something you look at. 25 to 50 or 60 to the downside. It could be something you look out for. The trend followers, I think the safer trend following direction would be to buy it up. 8905, stop loss 20, take profit 55 to the upside. Okay, so there is a counter trend, but we'll look for the trend following first. We're looking to buy at 0.89, 8905, 20 to 55, 8905, stop loss 20, take profit 55. Then onto the US CAD. Remember again, today we do have the Canadian CPI, or the Canadian inflation growth numbers, to be released. 3.3, 3.4, still slightly above its inflation target. That's likely to prevent the Bank of Canada from indicating any potential rate cut scenarios. It's likely to persist with its current path to try and get to that target level of 2 to 3% inflation growth. So we're likely to see this push higher. All right, we're likely to see this push higher. But what I would like to see a little bit more here is a test and a bounce before pushing back up. Right, I would like to see a bounce before pushing higher. Because at this point right now, it's not worth trying to trade up to that resistance. I look for a test and a bounce. It might not come around, but if not, then we have other trade setups available. 1.3550, no, 1.3555, stop loss 20 pips, take profit 60 pips to the upside. CAD weakness, push it up. Dollar strength, push it up. But now a bit of a retrace. That makes sense. We're looking for a test and bounce of support. Because of that, then we're looking to buy at 1.35 something. 55, stop loss 20, take profit 60. Take profit 60. Okay. Erwin, yes, we can look at gold, at oil. Right after that, right after gold. So key last is on gold. Zoom right out. Okay, we've done that. That did not play out that way. Oops. Been a while on gold. It went up. We're back at this point. 2200 is a round number level there. That point is reasonable. Okay, so it's found my support. It's bouncing. Dollar strength is going to push gold back down. It's broken at 23.6. It's trying to test that level again. Why do I have this? Hang on. Take that away. Oh, take that away first. Okay. So we have this as a swing level. Let me just change this line again. We have this as a swing level. We have 23.6 right there, breaking lower. If it does break below this support, we can see it come down towards 21.25. So that's what I'll be looking for on gold. On dollar strength, right? If the dollar strength to continue below 21.45, it could get to 21.25. So gold below 21.45 could trade down to 21.25. DXY strength dependent. Okay. Then onto US oil. Erwin's asking. It's right at that resistance. It's been a while since we looked at this. That worked out very nicely. It's bounced off our 78 level right up to the resistance at 82.25 or 82. Just checking the next levels up. Okay, I don't need this. Just clean up the chart a little bit. Okay, that one's done. I don't need that. Now looking at this. We could see it push higher. Like that. That's supporting a push to the upside. Breaking above that resistance, we could see it go to H4. Just to check my levels. We could see it get up. Next swing level would be about that point there. Back to H1. If it breaks past 82.25, it could get to 83.64. So that's what we're looking at. I don't see any downside. I don't see any massive downside. I think that point here is it's the level to watch out for, right? So it looks like it's going to sit there, could come down to test this point and push up like that. If it breaks past this point, then that's where we're going to see that big downside move, because that's the trend line, that's the horizontal level as well. Then we're going to see that move to the downside, and that could be quite significant. But checking on the news, I don't see why that could be the case. Maybe a test of the trend line before bouncing back up. I wouldn't do anything in this area. Okay, I'll clean up that a bit. I wouldn't do anything in this area, only if it breaks above the resistance. I'll look for the upside, or it breaks past this point or that downside. Hope I answered your question there, Erwin, about oil. But the main focus I'm still looking at is US yen, Aussie dollar as well, still pushing back down. US yen looking for breakthrough resistance to the upside. I think pound is coming very close. Euro should be about to trigger, to look for the hour to close and to trigger to the downside. So there are quite a number of opportunities for today. Just don't feel like you have to rush into any trade. And there are a lot of other news to be had. Tomorrow we have the pound with the CPI number, right? And in the worst case, save your bullets, save your trade leverage and margin for the FOMC on Thursday, the SMB on Thursday, and the BOE on Thursday as well. Okay, so I'm super happy about my trades for today with my yen and my Aussie dollar trades. I hope you guys have been trading well and do continue to trade well. Please stay safe, trade well. I'll see you on Discord. If not, I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care now. Thank you, Jumarinus. Thanks, Erwin.